After one heck of a match, Nick Kyrgios insults both the media and Rafa Nadal. Take a listen.
Do you regret going to the pub last night? Do you think you could have played a bit better if you hadn't?
No. You looked way too excited to ask that question. You must have a really boring life.
And on the shot where he almost hit Rafa Nadal with a big forehand.
I actually was going for him, yeah. I wanted to hit him square in the chest. Lucky he's got decent hands.
He's got decent hands. Oh, this guy's amazing. Welcome to the Coffee Break Tennis Podcast. It is the 4th of July special. Hit the fireworks. I am your host, ravaged by disease, sickness. Mr. Goat has gave me the cat flu, we think. We don't know what it is. But I'm here because it is Wimbledon, and I won't let anything ruin Wimbledon for us, lovers of this great sport. Because my voice is so haggard today, we're going to use a few clips from the press conferences, and there's some really interesting stuff today. First off, I love this. This guy had a good question, saying, hey, Nick, Rafa says that you're not, if you apply yourself more, if you want to, you can win majors. What do you think of that? Do you want to win majors? Does that inspire you? Something like that. I don't know. He asked something like that. Take a listen.
I'm a great tennis player, but I don't do the other stuff. I'm not the most professional guy. I won't train day in, day out. I won't show up every day. So there's a lot of things I need to improve on to get to that level that, Rafa brings, Novak brings, Roger have been doing for so long. So it just depends how bad I want it. But no, at the moment, I don't think I can contend for a Grand Slam.
So you don't want it badly now?
That's 2 questions in a row. Wait your turn.
One question only. Moderator Nick, wait your turn, you cheeky boy. That's amazing. But even more amazing is probably what Rafa says. Rafa makes 2 very good points. And funny enough, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer went all the way to Wimbledon to ask this question. Chuck Schumer of the famous duo Chuck and Nancy. Take a listen to Chuck Schumer ask a pretty good question to Rafa Nadal, actually.
Rafa, when Nick was in here, he said the thing that he respects most about you is how hard you try all the time on every single point. And he has not been able to do that in his career so far. If he were to be able to do that, what do you think he would be able to achieve?
If doesn't exist, as I said plenty of times, he's a very top talented player.
So you got to love the if. Chuck Schumer, media people, it's not how the real world works. Rafa knows the real world better than most. If, a lot of ifs in there. But what Rafa says next, to me, is even more important. Take a listen to this.
A lot of important things that you need to do to become a champion, no? And he has a lot of good ingredients, but of course remain an important one sometimes, that is the love and the passion for this game. And without really loving this game that much is difficult to achieve important things. Anyway, with this talent and with this serve, he can win a Grand Slam.
Love for the game. Because you can say if Nick changes everything about what he's doing right now, about the way he goes about his business and playing tennis and training more specifically for tennis, that takes a lot of work. And it takes a lot of love and dedication. Rafa's biggest weapon is probably not his forehand or his, obviously it's not his serve. I mean, he's got a good serve. He's done a lot with what he's got there. It's definitely his dedication to the sport, his love for the game, his OCD maybe. Peter Freeman likes to say that OCD is Rafa's biggest weapon because he's pretty obsessive about the little details and getting everything just right in his game. And anyways, I love that answer from Rafa, and totally right. You got all the ingredients, or you got a lot of the ingredients, Nick, but you're missing one big ingredient, and that is an undying love for this game that is going to drive you to go through a lot of tough times, a lot of sacrifice. You don't get to go out drinking at the pub. That's amazing. At the beginning, you might think it's a joke. But Nick Kyrgios was actually at a pub last night, the night before the biggest match of the tournament so far, for sure. The night before that match, the Feli Lopez and Catch 'em All Poke Master match was pretty good too. But the night before, he's drinking beers at the pub. And he actually, that picture I used in the beginning of him smiling, that's because he noticed one of the media ladies. He said, hey, you were at the pub last night. And he actually is cracking up. But most of it, he's pretty negative and, angry, seeming, annoyed. Mostly annoyed throughout this thing. Let's go to a couple more clips. Oh, we have this clip for you. Take a look at this. This was spotted on the River Thames. Nick Kyrgios, after closing hours at the pub, this is what he did next. That is from the tennis legend, Instagram account. Very funny clip. And yes, I know it's the River Thames. Just I know for some of those sticklers out there, some of those word sticklers, I wanted to give you a little bit of a heart attack because I'm kind of like Nick. I enjoy playing with people, just like Nick does. Take a listen to this. Here he goes playing with one of these really smart media guys. Take a listen. This is in reference to why'd you stop doing the underarm serve, Nick? It seemed to be working.
Why did you sort of put it back in the locker after that?
I don't know, man. If I do something outrageous, I get destroyed in the media for it, so I just thought I'd be professional, hit a normal serve. That's what I was thinking.
Seriously, you worried?
No, I'm kidding. I just didn't want to hit another one. Oh, shoot me down for not hitting an underarm serve, Centre Court Wimbledon against Rafa. What do you want from me, man?
Don't flatter yourselves. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking about the media. Great. Nick Kyrgios is nonstop entertainment, on, off the court, in the press room, out of the press room. I don't care. We need this guy for the sport. And hopefully he gets it together a little bit better. But you know what? He played well enough today. He admitted he tanked one game because he was so annoyed they weren't calling Rafa for taking too long between serves, between points, which is true. I mean, is it really a rule? At least at Wimbledon, they don't have the shot clock up because that's just insulting all of us when we see no regard for the shot clock from the umpires. At the U.S. Open, we'll see Djokovic and Nadal repeatedly break the shot clock rule. Just get rid of it if we're not going to enforce it. That's all I'm saying. That's all Nick's saying. Nick definitely went a little overboard on the umpire today, but good reason. Finally, last clip from Nick. This is the one thing he said today that was 100% spot on. You cannot disagree with this thing that Nick Kyrgios said.
I mean, his 1-2 punch, his first serve and his first forehand is probably the best 1-2 punch in the world, apart from Federer.
Rafa Nadal, best 1-2 punch in the world, aside from Roger Federer. Anyways, there you go. Those are the clips. Let's take a look at the draw. Like I said, I'm not feeling well, but today was such a big day. I wasn't going to miss out on a show today. That's why we're doing a podcast today, because it's a lot easier on me to produce. And we'll look at the draw. We'll talk about the Federer match, talk a little bit about Djokovic and Kudla. We'll talk about a little bit about Feli Lopez, and we'll look at some interesting stats about how this court's playing. We'll look at some interesting stats about how these players are playing, too. Some good Fed stats. If you're worried, we have some good reason to think Federer can, in fact, win this tournament. But before we look at the draw, let me talk about this. Darren Cahill pointed this out, and you know what? I'm going to take the extra work to find the clip. I have it somewhere. You can hear it. Darren Cahill says exactly. Talking about Roger Federer being really frustrated from the baseline and having a lot of trouble hitting through this court. Obviously, it's the slowest grass we've seen. So take a listen to Darren Cahill.
Just going to the speed of the court, we've got a couple of Federer forehands that you rarely see this type of swing on grass from Federer, and he's just really accelerating and hitting that buggy whip forehand over his head. It's a little bit Nadal-like, in fact. That's because he's forcing it, looking for the extra power, extra spin, and that's mostly because of the speed of the court. Normally, if the court's helping him, he'll finish with that forehand across the body. He's not forcing it as much as what he seems to be forcing it today.
So Federer not really happy with how the court's playing from the baseline. I think it's safe to say that. But he's got to enjoy this low bounce. And take a look at this. We'll get to the draw soon enough. Take a look at this from ESPN. This is great. So U.S. Open 2018, this is Federer's kick serve. The kick serve is designed to bounce higher. But Federer, especially here at Wimbledon, it's not so much about trying to bounce it over your head, because look at the numbers. This is the lowest bounce ever. Compared to 2011, it's 3 inches lower on average. Federer uses it more to hit great spots, and you will see he has incredible second serve numbers here, the best in the tournament. We'll look at that a little bit later. Federer uses it to have a little spin, a little safety, to hit his spots, and it's bouncing very low here. This is a great sign. I know some people are out there thinking, and I'm thinking it too, I'm watching it myself thinking, how's Federer going to out-rally Rafa or Djokovic on this super slow court? Well, one, the good news is for Fed fans that the court is going to get faster, and Federer has a good draw. Okay, now we'll look at the draw. Up next, he's got Puig. For a seeded player, that's as good as it gets on the ATP Tour this year. Puig has been, that's almost like playing Misha Zverev. Puig has been losing to everyone all the time. He got through, got through in straight sets against Gasquet with a tiebreak. Got through with a tiebreak in straight sets again against another French guy, Barrera, however you say it. But still, I don't think Puig's ready for Roger Federer. It could get tricky, maybe, if Puig plays really great and Federer's struggling, but I think Federer gets through there. Then he's got either Schwartz-D or Berrettini. Now, Berrettini could be very tricky, but Schwartz-D is a tough out anywhere. And, Schwartz-D's come through in straight sets in his last match. If Schwartz-D can really work Berrettini over, make him play 5 maybe, something like that, that would be nice. Not sure if we'll see that. We could see Berrettini get through in 3 because Berrettini is playing great. I'm stunned that we haven't heard more about Berrettini. I think I actually heard Johnny Mac talk about Berrettini today because I heard Patrick McEnroe and Chris Evert going through the draw the day before or yesterday, and they didn't even look at Berrettini on this. They just passed him over and said, it's an easy draw for Federer. But Berrettini is not easy. Aside from that, and that is the 4th round. That is week 2 if Federer plays Berrettini. So Federer just needs to get through Puig. And even as soon as the 4th round, he's going to be playing a little faster. You get to the quarterfinals, a good draw. Maybe Struffy Struff. That's tricky, but I think Federer can get through there. Maybe Nishikori or Stevie Johnson. Again, these guys are good. It could be tricky, but this is a good draw for Federer. By the time he gets to a semifinal and plays someone like Nadal, court's going to be playing a lot faster. So good news for Fed heads there. And this low bounce, Federer's got to be really happy for that. It's a great consolation, having this court speed slowed down. At least you got that super low bounce. Let's take a look at the Rafa drop because his doesn't get easier. Rafa was very adamant in his press conference to say, how happy are you to win this match? This is a big match. What does it mean to you? We saw in your celebration. You were so excited. I'm so sick of hearing media people say, what does it mean to you? Oh, God. Oh, Mr. Goat. I'm barely making it. But for the love of the game, we gotta carry on. But Rafa said, look, this is just the 2nd round. It's the 2nd round. There's so much more work ahead. And I can't relax. You cannot relax for 1 second, says Rafa. He's got Tsonga next. Tsonga looks very good. Tsonga looked very good in Halle. Don't be shocked if Tsonga somehow beats Rafa. Rafa played very well today. There's reason to think Rafa's going to fight his way through to the semifinal. I know a lot of Fed fans think this court's so slow that Rafa actually could beat Federer here, and they don't want to see it. They don't want that to happen. I don't want it either, but I'm telling you, I think Roger beats Nadal because of the super low bounce. You got to appreciate how much that hurts Rafa and that he won't be able to get the ball as high to the Federer backhand. And you got to appreciate the super low bounce. The Federer just can do more stuff to hurt Rafa because of that. And the courts are going to be playing faster by the time they get to a semifinal. We're like a week away from a semifinal, right? Isn't the semifinal on Friday? Yeah, next week, Friday. So a week and a day away. It's a different court by then. Then he's got Dirty Dan or Sousapalooza. Those guys could be tricky. Dirty Dan definitely will be tough, but that's not as bad for Rafa. He should be able to get through there if he can get through Tsonga. Then you very likely have Sam Querrey, who, again, could be very tricky. And by the time you get to the quarters, court plays even faster. So that's enough bottom half of the draw. Tomorrow's lineup. Mr. Wimbledon can't be too thrilled with tomorrow's lineup. Not a lot going on tomorrow. Thank God for Coco Gauff. They got Coco Gauff to put out in center court. She's an interesting story for sure. Reminds me of a young Venus Williams, actually. So long. I thought I was watching Venus lose to a young version of herself. Time Machine Venus came and beat her at age almost 40. Crazy stuff. Anyways, what else we got for you? Let's talk about this Djokovic's return. One thing about a low bounce, we see Federer on a high bouncing court step in and take the ball right off the bounce before it has a chance to get high. But when the ball is already bouncing low, it's even easier to step in and take it off the bounce. Take a look at Djokovic against Kohlschreiber. Some second serve return hit point numbers here. Way inside. So clearly Djokovic is looking to do some damage with his biggest weapon, the return. Also, another thing is I've been talking about big data analytics is a thing now. And some people think it's unethical maybe because the richest players can afford to have exclusive rights to a lot of stats that really dig deep so you can game plan better against your opponent than on average. And take a look at Djokovic's serve location against Dennis Kudla. Kudla's backhand is very flat, very low, and on this low bouncing surface, Kudla can really hurt you. Because think about, if the ball is bouncing higher, there's more hang time. I know the court's slow, but if you hit a great shot through the court and it's going to be a winner, if it bounces higher, there's a little more hang time. It's like a little easier to get to it, but when it's so low to the ground, even if you can get to that ball, if it's 1 inch off the ground, you're not going to do a lot. We saw that today with Kyrgios. Some shots that you expected Rafa to get to, Rafa would put him in the net because it was just too low to even do anything with it. Anyways, clearly Djokovic and Chris Fowler and I think John McEnroe were in the booth when they showed this. They talked about Djokovic using analytics, and here's some evidence. Clearly Djokovic game planned ahead that serve on second serve exclusively, only 2 serves, didn't go to the Kudla forehand. So stay away from that backhand. Smart move. You can't say it's a bad thing. What else we got for you? I thought this was interesting. Take a look at this. Team World announced no Nick Kyrgios. What's up with that? Does Rafa not want Nick Kyrgios on it? Does Federer and the powers that be think that Nick Kyrgios is a liability at this point? It might go too crazy and spoil the Laver Cup. And they got Chapo in there. El Chapo. Jeez. Okay. We talked about Kudla and Djokovic a little bit. I mean, you got to credit Djokovic. It's a good win. Kudla's very good on grass. The scoreline looks like a beatdown, but the match was closer than the score looks. Feli Lopez and Karen Khachanov, I'm telling you, that first set of Feli Lopez, I watched that, and I thought to myself, this is as good as any performance you've ever seen from Federer here at Wimbledon. He just couldn't keep up with the young guy on such a slow court. He used the bounce very effectively, but Khachanov was just too good, and I swear if the court was playing faster, you feel like Feli Lopez would have got through. That was probably his last Wimbledon. Definitely Marco Bagdatis, his last Wimbledon for sure. So let's give a fond farewell to those guys. A lot of entertainment from those guys over the years. Let's talk a little bit about Felix Auger-Aliassime. He is definitely making some noise here. Let me pull up the draw. You know what? We didn't look at the top half of the draw. Let's look at it now. Felix is on his way to a Djokovic clash. He's got to play Humbert. He's got to beat Umberto, which I think he can. Felix has been very good. He's been moving extremely well. He's been serving well. He's been a little sloppy at times. The shot selection is good, but sometimes the execution is just not there. Some errors out of nowhere, a lot of double faults. But other than that, my man Felix looks pretty good. I'm very curious to see the stats. Oh, I have a couple stats for you, then we'll get out of here. I'm very curious to see the stats on Felix Auger's double faults compared to the field. Her catch rhymes with latch up next for Djokovic. Might not be easy. Her catch has got some weapons of his own, and I'm going to be pretty curious to see that match tomorrow. Hopefully I'm feeling up to doing a show tomorrow. I'm going to try. I might not. I might skip a show tomorrow. All right, double faults. Felix Auger tied for first place with Moutet at 20 double faults. That was a tricky match, and maybe Felix is lucky that Moutet double faulted just as much as him. Benoit Paire at 18. Cilic at 14. This is a good indicator of struggling. Let's move over to the serving numbers, and then we'll get out of here because this is, if you're a Fed fan, these serve numbers are pretty good. Let me take a sip of my medicinal tea. Oh, that's medicinal. Soothing to the throat. Throat coat with extra echinacea. There was a comment below that somebody loves the throat coat minus the echinacea because it has a true licorice taste. Who was it who made that comment? That comment warmed my heart. Anyways, on serve numbers, Roger Federer flying high with the big men. Medvedev, the BS Russian. Medvedev, 88%. Sam Querrey, 88%. They're tied for first. Karlovic at 87%. Tsonga. How did Fabiano get through Karlovic? Tsonga, 86%. Federer right there 86. A great sign. We always see this from Federer, though. It seems like everywhere. But, of course, a great sign. Kevin Anderson, 85. Berrettini, 85. Like I said, watch out for that Berrettini guy. And David Goffin, Cousin Fed, has been playing lights out. Watch out for Cousin Fed. He's got a tough match tomorrow against Medvedev. The way Goffin has been playing, I'm going with Cousin Fed to get through. 83%, that is a great number for Cousin Fed. He's outdoing Djokovic and Nadal in the win on first serve department. All right, let's take a look at second serve, because this is the big number. Now, Roger Federer sits on the very top, 75% win on second serve. This is a ridiculous number. Now, before you say, Matt, Roger is playing these guys we've never heard of before. Those numbers will come down. Sure, but this is still a great sign. I mean, look at second place. Milos Raonic, 71%. Now, Stan's in third with 68, so it's not everything because he's out of the tournament. But Raonic, we know, very dangerous because of the serve. 71%, Federer's got him by 4 percentage points. And Nadal, he's all the way down there at 65. Poor Djokovic ain't even on this list. And I told you, I'm not totally convinced with the Djokovic serving. Some good spot serving on the first serve. But will he keep it up? Will it abandon him? The serve was not there when he needed it most against Dominic Thiem at the French Open. And you need it even more here on the grass. Anyways, this second serve number is ridiculous. And Omar Leandro, the Omar of Oz, follow him on the Twitters. He tweets some great stats. And one thing he found was the best years Federer's ever had on second serve. There's like 5 or 6 of them. And they're all around 59, 60, 61%. And the thing about those years is Federer's won Wimbledon all of those years. This year is his best ever, 61.9. Round it up. We'll call it 62%. It's his best year he's ever had win on second serve percentage. And clearly, it's not going away. He's at 75% here. So anyways, I don't know, man. I know a lot of people out there are feeling like me and thinking, how's Roger going to beat Djokovic or Nadal on the slow grass? That's a big part of it. It's going to be hard to break Federer when he's hitting his spots on the second serve so well and able to win 75% on the second serve. One last thought on Federer before we move on, and we'll get out of here. I did notice in his first match, it seemed like he was struggling with the first serve. At least, clearly he has a high percentage on it, but he was hitting like, the first set of the first match, the one he lost. Federer loses to, what's his name? Mr. Lloyd Harris. Federer loses that first set. He was missing spots on the first serve, and his serve percentage was going down, win on first serve percentage. I don't have numbers in front of me, but that had to have been his worst set win on first serve number for the whole tournament so far, of the 7 sets he's played. And then the second set, we saw Federer get like 30% first serves in. It was a ridiculously low number. And that's because Federer refused to accept first serves that just go in because he doesn't have enough raw pace to do anything if you don't hit a spot. If you put a ball in a spot where they can hit it, it doesn't matter if it's going 120, 115 like Federer likes to hit it. It's not going to do any damage. So Federer was only going to take spots. Therefore, he was missing a lot because he was just going for those corners in the tee. So I was pretty encouraged to see that because Federer is very clear on what he needs to do to win here. And he's not going to settle for anything less, even against players that he knows he can get away with some sloppy stuff beating. And clearly, everything's trending in the right direction for Federer. So hit the music. We'll get out of here. Thanks for listening to the show. Sorry that I've fallen ill on the most important 2 weeks of the year. Hopefully, hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do our very best. I will sleep 12 hours like the great Swiss maestro himself. I leave you with this clip. The funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Take a look. I can watch that 100 times. That is from Tennis Legend Instagram. Check them out. They got some good stuff. I'm gonna get out of here before I pass out. See you.